You now are listening to the audio podcast of Prisoners of Hope, the antidote to what ails your heart. I'm your host, Dr. Deborah Whitson. So come on in, pull up a chair, and open up your mind as you get ready to receive the download that hope will bring. Well, hey, it is a great day. And this is Dr. D. Welcome to the Prisoners of Hope podcast. Today, we're going to be continuing our series on spiritual habits. In part one of this series, I covered the spiritual habits of praying, meditating, and generosity. Today, I will cover three more habits that will yield you a spirit filled, godly life. First habit I want to cover today is fasting. Now, I'm not good at this. I don't like to do this, but I am learning the value of it. So I'm not here. So I had to learn about this myself. But what is fasting? Fasting is a tangible way to deny yourself and to declare before God that we know it's all about Him, not about us. All about Him, not about us. I remember that kind of reminds me. My sister and I, we were having an argument. I can't remember what it was about. But at the end of the long diatribe of our argument, I said to her, kind of in a intensified, loud voice, "You think it's all about you." And she just kind of paused and she thought about it. And the way she was thinking, the way she was looking, the expression on her face, I was quiet because I was like, "What's up?" And she thought about it some more and she said, "Yes, I do think it's all about me." And that kind of ended the argument right there. But fasting, God is telling us it is not all about you, it is all about Him. And that kind of ends the argument right there and then. Jesus, since we're to imitate Jesus, Jesus did fast in Matthew 4, verses 1 through 4. That it was when Jesus was in the wilderness and he was tempted by the devil. And the devil says, "If you're the Son of God, tell these stones to be bread." And Jesus answered, "It is written." Now let's pause right there. Here you have the God of the universe that said, he says, "It is written." So he refers back to the word of God. Should that give us a hint? When you're in trouble, when things are intense, when you're starving, whether it be food, affection, money, provisions, just fill in the blank. You go to what is written. Back to what I was saying. Jesus answered, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." So Jesus, he did fast during this time. Here's some benefits of fasting. Why would you fast? I asked the same thing. This is what I found in my research. It draws you nearer to God because it clears everything else away. You're not having no tactile sense on your tongue. Okay? You're not searching, preparing food. Your attention has to be place. And it clears you so you can focus on Him. Another benefit of fasting is it builds humility. And you're like, well, why? because fasting is a humbling experience because it causes pain. That's why I don't do it because you're just like, oh, I'm hungry. It causes pain. It reminds us on our dependence of God and his provision he provides. So it's very humbling. So it draws us near. It is humbling and it helps us hear God's direction. It clears our mind, our senses, so we can listen. We can hear what God is saying. And it strengthens our determination. If you go through something and you make it through the other end, you're more determined. As people who go in SEAL training, all the crap they go through makes them very rugged and determined. So there's some benefits of fasting. Draws us near, makes us be more humble, helps us hear God, and it strengthens our determination. So how do you start? That's what I wanted to know. This is what I found. First of all, you invite God to be with you. Does that make sense? That kind of goes without saying, but it never goes without saying. Because when you say it goes without saying, it should be said. That's one of the paradoxical sayings. You don't mean what you're saying. Invite God, this should be said, to be with you, to help you. Do it for a chosen reason. Excuse me. Do it for a chosen reason. I want to hear clearer what you're saying about my finances, or I want to pray about something in my body, or do it for a chosen reason. Number three, ask for grace to complete. There's God again. Ask God for the grace to see you through the time period you have selected to do your fast. So invite God with you. Do it for a reason. Ask for the grace to complete. And number four, accept what God gives you during this time. Accept what He tells you. Sometimes it could be things that you don't want to do and you don't want to hear, but accept it. So we might ask, what type of fast pleases God? Purifying fast pleases God. Ones that displease God, they're known as wicked fasts. And we're talking about purifying fasts, okay? So let's talk about the types of fasting prayer that we can do. We can do a normal fast. And the normal fast is the most common type of fasting prayer. It involves abstaining from food and drink for a set period of time, including the story of Esther. They did like 3-day fasts. Remember, she fasted 3 days and she had everybody in the kingdom fast, all of the Jews fast for 3 days before she went to the king for her people. That's Esther 4:16. Okay, so that is a normal fast. That could be a normal fast. There's also what you call a partial fast. A partial fast involves abstaining from certain types of food or drink while allowing yourself to eat or drink other things. If you look at my Catholic brothers and sisters, a lot of them, the only meat they will eat on Fridays is fish, right? So they eat meat and other food, but they won't eat beef and pork on that Friday. That's a partial fast. That could be considered a partial fast. The next type of fast is an absolute fast, and this involves abstaining from all food and drink, including water, for a set period of time. This is dangerous. Please consult your doctor if you were to do this. Like if you are hypoglycemic or diabetic, this is not wise. So you need to pray and make sure you get guidance before you decide to do an absolute fast. There's also what you call intermittent fast. And this fast involves altering periods of fasting with periods of eating normally. You might be fasting for 16 hours and eating 8 hours. This type of fasting has become very, very popular recently. Intermittent fast. Last but not least is what we call a corporate fast. And a corporate fast involves a group of people fasting together. Remember, fast is always for a certain reason, for a set period of time. Like you might have a church that has a day of prayer and fast, or a day of week they do this, or a day of the year they do this. Okay, so this is known as a corporate fast. So those are the different types of fasts. We have a normal fast, partial fast, absolute fast, intermittent fast, and a corporate fast. This gave me hope because I didn't have to fast absolutely or normal. I could do an intermittent fast, okay? Fast for 16 hours and eat for 8. I could do that, okay? So take heart. You could do a fast. The next spiritual habit, spiritual practice I want to talk about is stillness. You know, stillness is so important, especially when your world is spinning out of control. You know, just like a ballerina where they have to pick a spot and stare at that spot. If the world is spinning, they're spinning. It keeps them from being dizzy. You focusing on God, being still in His presence, keeps you from being dizzy in the spinning world. My favorite verse when my world is spinning, there have been times like when my son was injured in an accident. I would say Psalms 46:10. This is where meditation, and I talked about in part one of this, um, spiritual habits. But this is where I meditated and I was still within that meditation space. And I meditated on Psalms 46:10. And it says, "Be still and know that I am God." That's a simple verse, but what I did is I took like 4 or 5 hours to say it. I would say, "Be still and know that I am God." And I would repeat that until it was time to move on. I would repeat it. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I just knew it was 4 hours later when I looked up. I would repeat it until I got it deep in my soul. Then I would say, "Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am." So I would say this verse and I would say this for an hour, I don't know, as long as it took till I got it deep in my soul. Then I would proceed, and then the next thing I would say is, "Be still and know that." And I would repeat that over and over again until I got to the last word was be, be, be. And I focus on being. Okay, so stillness is a thing that people who are very hyper, like me, A type personalities, they have a hard time doing this. With practice, you will learn how to do this. And where you have your weakness, you will find God has the most strength for you. So don't run away from your weakness. This is mine too, is being still. So embrace it. What do stillness gives you? Well, it gives you healing. It it makes you feel better down in your soul. It also refreshes your soul. I like to go to the story of Luke 10, verse 38 to 42. The story is a story about Martha and Mary. And this kind of reminds me of me and my sister, wherein Martha was complaining, or claiming to Jesus that Mary was not pulling her weight in the kitchen. She goes to Jesus and says, Lord, don't you care that my sister left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me. Martha sounds a little authoritative, Doesn't she? You see, Mary had decided to be still at the foot of Jesus. And Jesus said to Martha, 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 you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, are indeed only one. And Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken from her. So Mary had decided to sit at the feet of Jesus and just refresh herself, to be still. Why her sister was running around like a chicken with her head cut off, okay? So being still, it's very healing and it refreshes your soul. It also provides you refuge. Refuge. If you look at Exodus 14:14, it tells us that the Lord will fight for you. All you need to do is be still. So there's a condition. I would have wrote it this way, but I didn't write it. Be still and the Lord will fight for you. That's basically what it's saying. Be still and God will provide you cover. Okay? God will provide you cover. If you look at Psalms 37:7, it says, Be still, there's that again, before the Lord and wait patiently for him. The rest of that verse says, Do not fret when others succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes, because God is going to be there for you. Wait patiently for him. Be still. So, stillness will give us healing. It refreshes our soul. It provides us cover, refuge, okay, in so many different ways. The next spiritual habit I want to cover, surrendering means to cease resistance. Resistance could be direct, like just refusing to do what you're told. Or resistance could be indirect, like forgetting what you're told, especially if it's a repeat performance on your part. So resistance could be direct, refusing, or indirect, forgetting. But they're both forms of resistance. Now, surrendering, one of the things that you must realize that you might as well do it because you're not in control. God is in control. You have no control at all. Janet Jackson sings the song, I'm in control now that I'm all grown up. Well, I've got news. You're not in control, even though you are grown up. We never grow to the point where we have complete control. Um, Going through three horrific, critically injuring accidents on my son, in which none of the three incidents was their fault. Two of them were car accidents where my son was minding his own business and this drunk driver comes up a one-way street the wrong way or riding in a car where the driver falls asleep and he's a passenger and a pole comes and hits him in the face. What is a common denominator between those two accidents is that my son was not in control. So anytime you get in a car and you're able to safely arrive someplace, please get on your knees and thank God because you are not in control. You're just in control of what you're doing, but you're not in control of the total situation. And sometimes it's a question whether you're in control of what you're doing. Surrendering, it empowers you. It gives you power because you are not the end all. You have cover from God, and that gives you power because you can let go and relax. I always say, let go and enjoy the journey because you're not in control, and the knowledge of that empowers you. Okay. It lessens your reliance on your expectations. Aren't expectations something else? We expect the blessing to come a certain way. So we are disappointed when it doesn't. Relying on our expectations for the way things should be, or we think they should be, um, is a recipe for failure. So surrender that. And when you do surrender that, you don't rely on your own expectation. Surrendering also opens your eyes to other opportunities because it doesn't have to be your way or the highway. Let God open your eyes to other opportunities. Because remember, his thoughts and his ways are different than our thoughts and our ways. So surrender really helps us because it reminds us that God is in control. It empowers you because God is in control. It lessens your reliance on expectations, on your expectation, because God is in control. And it opens your eyes for other opportunities because God is in control. Okay. So that is the spiritual practice of surrender. The three spiritual habits covered in this episode bring you closer to God. It equals a more powerful, impactful relationship. Their spiritual practices were fasting, stillness, and surrender. Put these habits into practice, plus the three practices covered in part one of the series, which was prayer, meditation, and generosity. And you will find that your relationship with God will improve and become more fulfilling. Until next time, signing off, Dr. D. My hope is that this journey has been fruitful and you're able to take it and apply it to your life. Until next time, tune in again for the Prisoners of Hope podcast. God bless.